Then on Sports Central, we go over our next team prediction of this offseason, and it's going to be over the Minnesota Golden Gophers, a team that went 9-4 overall in the 2022 season. This was a good team last season that I definitely think was even underrated at times, but how this team being 2023 and where this team stands as we look forward to 2023 is what we'll be talking about here today. We'll be analyzing this team and predict their schedule game by game in this video. Let's get started with a quick recap of 2022. Once again, the record was 9-4. I mean, you consider the first 4 games of this season, this team was dominant, and they came out hot in 2022. I mean, they only allowed 24 points in their first 4 games. They were dominant. I mean, you consider the win over Colorado 49-7, beat Michigan State on the road 34-7. This was a team that was looking dangerous heading into the Purdue matchup there in October. To start out October, which they did end up losing 20-10, which Purdue eventually won the Big Ten West, made it to Indianapolis. So they were a really good team last year, but that was definitely a disappointing loss. And I mean, this team kind of fell off the rails there, losing to Illinois 26-14, then lost to Penn State 45-17. So 2 tough losses there. And so suddenly this team was 4-3 and kind of almost out of contention in the Big Ten West, even though this team was still a contender, I would say, to the end. They were definitely a talented team. Came back, beat Rutgers 31-0, dominated them, beat Nebraska on the road 20-13, beat Northwestern 31-3, so 3 nice wins there in a row. Then they lost to Iowa 13-10 in a crucial game. I mean, so Iowa, a good team last season. That was a tough, I mean, we saw a lot of those low-scoring, just defensively brutal matchups in the Big Ten West last year, and that was definitely a perfect example of what we saw several times in the Big Ten West last year. And then beat Wisconsin 23-16 to finish out the regular season. So, I mean, this team was 8-4 heading into bowl season, beat Syracuse in the Pinstripe Bowl 20-20, a nice win there. So this was a 9-win team last season. They were one of the best teams in the Big Ten, but they didn't get much attention just because of that 3-game losing streak that they had there in October. I mean, September, this team was looking hot, but once again, those 3 losses to start out October really took this team out of the spotlight, but it was still a good team last season, that's for sure. But looking forward to 2023 now, your roster preview for next season. And Tanner Morgan is gone, the quarterback who's played for this team the past 5 seasons. He's been the primary starter for this team for a while now, so it's finally time for him to move on, and we are on to Ethan Kaliak-Manis, who is definitely a quarterback with potential, but when he played last season, he definitely wasn't very impressive. 900 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks, and a 54% completion rate. He threw the ball 111 times. So, I mean, his stat line for when he played last season definitely wasn't impressive, but we'll see if he can improve over this offseason and play better once we get to fall. I mean, we saw that with Tanner Morgan. You remember back to 2019, that seems like such a long time ago now, but 2019 was Tanner Morgan's big standout season. That was, I'd say, far and away his best season with this team. I mean, 2020, 21, and 22, he just was less than great. And I mean, I would say as well, I mean, injuries did have an impact as well. But 2019 was far and away his best season. And I mean, he wasn't that impressive in 2018 when he played. So seeing him be as impressive as he was in 2019 was a bit of a surprise. So we could see that out of Kaliak-Manis. Maybe he breaks through in 2023 and has a really good season for this team. That is very much a possibility as long as he stays healthy. But the backfield does lose Mo Ibrahim. He's been with Minnesota forever as well, and he has been such a key player for this backfield. Last season, 1,700 yards, 20 touchdowns. What a career he had with Minnesota. I mean, he's been around since 2018 as well. He's been around forever. 2021, he got injured in the first game of the season, and many kind of wondered whether or not he could come back and still be a strong running back after such a serious injury that he had in 2021. But, I mean, many experts per se were definitely wrong, because in 2022, he was excellent. The best season of his career with Minnesota, and we'll see what he can do moving forward into the NFL. But the backfield's going to look a lot different. Trayson Potts also gone, the second running back for this team, who had nearly 500 yards last year. Now it's on to transfer running back Sean Tyler. Looks like he's going to be the primary starter in the backfield this season. Also got Zach Evans and Bryce Williams back there, but it's just not going to be the same with no more Mo Ibrahim, who really, I feel like won this offense a lot of games last season. He was dominant, and I mean, if you couldn't stop Ibrahim, good luck beating Minnesota. But the receiving core, Daniel Jackson's coming back, same with Brevin Spanford. So your top tight end, your top receiver, your top two in the receiving core from last season, both coming back. You do lose Mike Brown-Stevens transferring out, same with Dylan Wright. So your second and third wideouts both gone. Chris Ottman-Bell's been with this team forever. He is returning, even though last season didn't have a significant impact on this team. But he's got experience and he's definitely got talent. Do lose one on the offensive line, 2 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and then 4 in the secondary. So defensively, this is definitely a team that will be a bit inexperienced in 2023. There's going to be a bit of rebuilding. That definitely needs to be done. I mean, you got a couple of transfers coming in, especially in the secondary, that could have big impacts. But, I mean, there is a bit of concern on this defense. And even offensively, it's really going to come down to Kaliak Manis. Can he lead this offense to a successful season? And this backfield as well, not having Mo Ibrahim back there anymore. I mean, Sean Tyler coming in from Western Michigan, he is an excellent back. I definitely think he's going to have a lot of success with this team, but how much success can he have? And it's also going to come down to how healthy can this team stay, because in multiple areas, there is not a lot of depth for Minnesota. This is a talented team up front, but there's just not a lot of depth on this team as well, and that is definitely a concern for me. But still a team with potential. We've seen Minnesota really surprise in recent years. So, I mean, this is definitely a team to still keep an eye on. Looking forward to 2023. Your transfer portal and recruiting, Sean Tyler coming in from Western Michigan. Mentioned him. Trey Potts is off to Penn State. Receiving core adds a couple of guys here. Elijah Spencer coming in from Charlotte. You also got Corey Crooms coming in from Western Michigan. You lose Dylan Wright to TCU, and then Mike Brown-Stevens off to South Florida. Edge rusher Chris Collins is coming in from North Carolina, and then Ryan Salig, linebackers, coming in from Western Michigan as well. Donald Willis is off to Western Michigan. Braylon Oliver, linebackers, off to Georgia Tech. Jack Henderson's coming in from Southeastern Louisiana. And then Michael Dixon is off to Rutgers. You bring in Craig McDonald, safety from Auburn. And then Trevon Jones, expect him to be a starter in 2023, coming in from Elon. And then Beanie Bishop, defensive back, is off to Western Michigan. Tyler Bride, defensive back, coming in from Georgia Southern. It looks like Jack Henderson and Bishop are both expected to be starters in 2023. Same with Ryan Salig, who's coming in a linebacker. Recruiting-wise, this team is 44th in the country, 9th in the Big Ten. Definitely could be better recruiting-wise. You got 2 4-stars coming in, 19 3-stars. The transfer portal hasn't been bad for this team. You're definitely bringing in a few key players, but you're also losing a few key players in the transfer portal, so it kind of balances out. But I've still got this team at an 8 out of 10 on the future forecast meter. I still think this team has got a bright future for sure. What PJ Fleck has done, this is a team that has been a contender in the Big Ten for multiple years. I mean, in recent years. I mean, Minnesota hasn't quite won the Big Ten West yet. I could see that coming in the future within the next 3 or 4 years. But I will say this as well. I don't think that's going to be in 2023. I just think this team is going to be a bit inexperienced in comparison to even last year in recent years. And so there is, I mean, if this team can perform well in 2023, keep an eye on Minnesota moving forward, because once again, this is a team with a lot of young talent right now. And so it's going to be very interesting seeing how this team is able to perform, considering that in 2023. And with that, let's take a look at the schedule. So you got Nebraska at home on a Thursday night for week 1, pretty much college football's opening night there. And then you got Eastern Michigan at home after that, North Carolina on the road. That's going to be a tough non-conference matchup there. North Carolina next season, I've got them projected for 10 wins. And North Carolina is a team that I can see being in the top 15, even top 10 for a good chunk of next season. So a big opportunity, but a challenge there for sure. Then Northwestern on the road, Louisiana at home, Michigan at home, Iowa on the road, Michigan State at home. And then you got Illinois at home, Purdue on the road, Ohio State on the road, and then Wisconsin at home to finish out the regular season. And this is a brutal schedule for Minnesota. This, honestly, you could argue it to be the toughest schedule in the Big Ten. I mean, you consider your crossover games into the Big Ten East. You got to play Michigan, you got to play Michigan State, and you got to play Ohio State on the road. 3 of my projected top 4 teams in the Big Ten East. And Michigan and Ohio State, both in the college football playoff last season. I've got those 2 projected as the 2 best teams in the Big Ten. I mean, so it's just a brutal schedule here. And I mean, obviously having North Carolina, the top 15 on your schedule in your non-conference slate for next season. And yeah, by the way, on the road, that doesn't do you any favors either. So it's a brutal schedule. There's no hiding that. But looking at the first month of action, Nebraska home, this is a 50-50 game here. Honestly, it could absolutely go either way. I've got Nebraska and Minnesota pretty much at the same level for next season. I am leaning towards Nebraska. I just think they're a more talented team and a team that's got more depth for the beginning of the season, and some of the inexperience defensively for Minnesota definitely does concern me, and even offensively there's some inexperience, but I do want to lean towards Nebraska there right now. Eastern Michigan, easy win in the North Carolina on the road. This is just a difficult matchup against a really talented North Carolina team. Offensively, they're going to be brutal. So that's definitely a tough game there on the road. I'm going to take North Carolina and the Northwestern on the road. You do beat them in a close one. So you're 2-2 heading into your second month of action. Louisiana, I do think you take care of them. That's a team that has been good in recent years, but I do think you get a nice dominant win there against Louisiana. You come back against Michigan, and you got Michigan at home, which is definitely a good thing, but Michigan is, I mean, they are the power in the Big Ten right now. That is a team that is going to be brutal in 2023 once again. Defensively, they honestly could be even better. Offensively, the experience of that team just all around. You got them at home, so that's definitely a good thing, but I just think Michigan is too good of a team, and they do end up beating Minnesota there. Maybe the Gophers hang in there for a while, but Michigan is just too good. And then Iowa on the road. I do like Iowa to be a big contender in the conference, at least in the Big Ten West. I think your Big Ten West is going to come down to either Wisconsin or Iowa. I am leaning towards Wisconsin, but the Hawks do keep an eye on them, and I do think you lose that one there. And then Michigan State, you get a nice win here. Michigan State next season, I could see right in between 6 and 8 wins. So not a great team, but still good. I think I've got them projected for it's either 7 or 8, but I do think you beat Michigan State there, so you get a nice win. You're 4-4 heading into November, and that's when you got Illinois at home, which is definitely a winnable matchup. Illinois next season still could be a solid team. They really surprised a lot in 2022. Defensively, they should be pretty good once again in 2023, but offensively, they could be atrocious. So I do think you get a nice win there against the Illini. And then even Purdue on the road, you get a nice win there as well, going on the road there. So a nice, you got some nice momentum heading into the Ohio State matchup, which Ohio State next season, especially in late November, they should be playing some pretty good balls. So I do think you lose that one on the road, and then Wisconsin at home. This game is very winnable, but I do think you drop this one. Wisconsin next season, it's either them or Iowa to win the division. I'm pretty much split on that. I'm kind of leaning towards Wisconsin, but that's going to be a tough one there for sure. I do think you lose that one. So you're 6-6 next season, which that record may disappoint some fans, but I think if you can go 6-6 with this brutal schedule, you get to a bowl game and you win that, a 7-6 finish this season, considering some of the inexperience that this team has. This is a team with a lot of young talent right now, all around. So, I mean, you're going to be returning a lot of talent, you would assume, unless players leave for the transfer portal. I mean, the future is definitely bright for this team. I just don't know that 2023 is going to be the season that this team can break through and win the West, but I think the future is bright, even though 2023 might not be quite the huge standout season that many fans might be hoping for. But for the range, I've got 9-3 for the ceiling. That's if you perform really well against some of those tough teams, maybe get a nice upset win, and then 4-8 is going to be the floor. So a pretty wide range for this team in 2023. Honestly, the expectations are all over the place. I mean, this is a team that I could see going 8-4 as much as I could see them going 5-7. And once again, the brutal schedule doesn't do you any favors, considering some of the inexperience on this team. But it's still a team with a lot of potential and definitely an interesting team to keep an eye on. And once again, Minnesota is a team that has definitely been underestimated many times in recent years. So for all we know, this could be a really good team in 2023. But based on the signs and everything that I'm seeing, I do think this team is going to be kind of right around a 6-7 win team. But definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this team, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.